Any other games you want to talk about, Paul? Like any honorable mentions that you were thinking about putting on your list that you didn't put on your list?
I have some honorable mentions. So, I'll be honest with you, I did not like EA's first Star Wars Battlefront. However,
not like a lot of people.
I think Star Wars Battlefront 2 by EA is all right. It needs some improvement. If you're gonna claim the name Star Wars Battlefront 2, it better be better than the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. And by doing that, you're already setting your bar pretty high.
Yeah, we both really like that game.
So, in that sense, I think it still falls short. However, there is a marked improvement in Battlefront 2, EA's Battlefront 2 over EA's Battlefront 1. Like, they added a storyline in. I don't do a whole lot of online playing, online campaigning, usually because you end up playing against somebody that, like a group of people that just are like 10 times better than you are, and that's all they do all day long, and it's just not fun. So it's just, to me, it felt like a rebranded Battlefield.
Yeah. But you liked it? Okay.
So, but Battlefront 2 is different in that it has like a campaign mode, and I think the single player stuff is a lot better.
Okay.
So I'm willing to put that on my honorable mentions list. Some other ones would be...
I'm looking at Paul's list right now, and I see one that I can't believe it's on there.
So Force Unleashed, I think Force Unleashed was probably not the other ones.
The second one's so bad.
I think they should have just ended up the first
second
one.
Was so bad.
But the first one is all right. I liked it a lot. I thought the gameplay was pretty good. For something like, I can imagine making a Star Wars game is kind of challenging because you're kind of getting into a genre that's pretty well defined, and the expectations are like pretty high. If you don't fit that expectation, your customer's expectations, you're not going to make it. So people tend to judge Star Wars stuff pretty hard.
Yeah. It had I'm not going to say a good story, but it had an interesting character.
Yeah.
I liked Starkiller, especially aesthetically.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot.
They did a lot of interesting things with that game, I think. And then there's Star Wars Dark Forces. I haven't personally played this one, but I when I've seen other people play, it looked pretty good to me. Like the first-person shooter type game.
It's a classic.
It's pretty classic.
Yeah, that's a classic.
One that we just found is Star Wars Chess.
God. If you don't know it, look up the Star Wars Chess CDI game and just watch the death animations.
Oh my gosh, the death animations are pretty good.
They are.
They're pretty funny.
Yeah, no, they're fun. They're
a little bit brutal, pretty funny.
It makes it worth the admission. I'll admit that.
So, yeah, and that's my honorable mentions list.
For me, since you mentioned Dark Forces, I think Jedi Knight 2 Outcast. It's one that I played through. So I was young, and so I struggled to play through it, but I remember getting through it. I actually played a lot of the multiplayer with my brother in that game. It was a lot of whacking our lightsabers back and forth at each other, because you only had one button that's just like a general swing.
Really?
Yeah, that's all it was. But it I don't know. It was in a motion that like you could really, depending on your distance, you knew where it would strike things. So it was like a really cool thing. But it also had because this is I think it's supposed to be like a direct sequel to Dark Forces. It has the first-person shooter elements, but it's all about Kyle Ortana finding his force powers, which is actually, so it's really good. I know a lot of people love it, so we gotta probably mention that. I think KOTOR 2 is very
definitely
good. It's. I didn't put it up here mainly because I couldn't tell. I know I got to the final battle and I couldn't tell you what happened in the game. I just couldn't. I don't know why I don't remember it, but I don't. But like gameplay wise, since it takes the same engine, takes the same ideas, it's super solid. Is Episode 1 Pod Racer. It's really good.
I've seen gameplay of that. And did you know there's a remake of it now for like phone or something?
No, I didn't
Somebody
know
like
that.
rebuilt it for the phone or something like that. It's pretty crazy.
It's hard, which I really like because I think that's the idea. Like pod racing is supposed to be super difficult, so I think that's actually really cool. And it has a nice sort of grindy campaign in terms of you just do races, and how well you do in the races, you get money, and then you can keep improving your ship, your pods. That way, in later races, you can actually win and finish races because some of the turns and speed get ridiculous, and the racers become absurd. But it's really fun because you can do it both in third person and first person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always like doing first person because you always see like the two, depending on I think almost every single one of them have kind of the two engines right in front of you with the electric wire. So you're like in between them and you see them shift. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, I would say that's a good one too.
And then the other one I want to mention is Rogue Squadron Rebel Strike. So this is the last one of my honorable mentions. The Rogue Squadron series is really good. I've played through the majority of the first two, and I've actually technically barely played the third one, which is Rebel Strike's campaign, besides the co-op thing. So that's what it added, is it added co-op and multiplayer elements that the other two didn't have, and that's kind of what put it a little bit over the edge for me. I know most people probably like the second Rogue Leader the best, which I hear is the universal. It's probably the best third, because I think you can do first person, but usually you do third person flight simulator. It's all about being in Rogue Squadron, so it's a bunch of just missions that tie together. You can just keep doing the different missions that happened.
Good. Does it have a really similar like mechanic for flying the ship as Battlefront 2? Have you done the space assault?
That's fun. It's kind of similar. It feels more, I think maybe because of the level layouts, because the space, when you're in space, there's not a lot of stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what set Rogue Squadron apart, is that you had ground levels and your space levels. Like there's a lot more variety to what you're flying around and trying to maneuver through.
Okay.
So I feel like it feels, and you have a lot more ships. And so I feel like it just, everything is less streamlined in terms of how you fly, and so I think that's kind of the biggest difference. Is it's further down the simulation path. Like it's not a flight simulator. Like it's not. But that's kind of further down that way. But no, it's always really good. So those are my honorable mentions. And that's
pretty good.
That's majority. I know there's other Star Wars games that I'm not looking through them. I know I've played or at least seen them, but
there's a lot of good Star Wars games out there.
Yeah.